We need to fix the RX-7 today, and I got a fun little cooling plate to install in it. So the ignition harness that we got from Rotary is wired incorrectly, where some of the coil packs are crossed, meaning our leading and trailings are backwards. So therefore, the actual ignition timing of the ECU is off by about 15 degrees, which is the difference between the leading and the trailing plugs. So we need to get the car up on the quick jacks. I would toss it up on the lift, but I have the Subaru up there with all of the undercoat curing right now. Get it up on quick jacks, unplug that harness, test continuity, repin everything for how it should be repinned. Make sure that in the ECU it is set up as a direct fire and not a wasted spark, because that is going to make a difference for how the ignition fires. Hey, what's up, beauty? What's up, little beautiful RX-7? Ooh! God, dude, I fucking love this car. There we go. All right, I'm gonna get this thing over to the shop. As long as I keep it under 2K RPM, it will kind of drive right now. We gotta fix this. All right, sorry about that RX-7. I know your ignition timing ain't happy. Now, I like to think I'm a pretty mechanically inclined guy, all right? I can build engines, I can do wiring, I can do the whole kit and caboodle worth of stuff. But this issue with an ignition harness is not something to take lightly. I tried reaching out to them, I've never heard anything back from them. I bought the ignition harness from Rotary. Having a mess up ignition harness like this can 100% kill your engine. Your ignition timing will be off. If we did not have a Rotary specific tuner helping us with this car, God knows what would have happened. We probably would have killed this 13B. So this is not an issue to take lightly. This is an actual significant issue that 100% will kill an engine. So, before we actually dig into the ignition harness, I'm gonna let this kind of vent out for a minute. We got a really cool, fun cooling plate that I ordered from JP3. So I got this little cooling plate dealio that sits right up here in the front of the cowl area, just kind of like hide all this and make the engine bay look better. So I'm gonna install that real quick, then we'll pull out the quick jacks that I have under the couch, get them on the RX-7, slide our happy butt under there, get the ignition harness unplugged, pull it all the way to this side of the engine and start checking continuity from the ECU to the ignition coils and start getting this thing fixed. Now, I am assuming that this is going to, oh yeah, okay, so it just replaces that stud there and that one there. Honestly, that gives the engine bay a way more complete look than not having anything here at all. So these two gotta come out, they get replaced with studs. Don't know if these washers will, oh, they will fit, look at that. Honestly, a really nice little addition to this. This is made for the Gretty V-mount also. So you know what, if we're fixing something, we might as well add a little modification, right? Am I right or am I right? I feel like I'm right. F these up on quick jacks. What we need to do is go down there, unplug all 4 coil packs, bring the harness up to the top of the engine bay where I can then try to get my multimeter from the harness into the cabin so we can see what wires are what, because right now we don't know. And they could be off 1, they could be off 2, they could be off 3. We don't know. All right. Boom. Ignition coils. I'm gonna walk you guys through a little bit of basic wiring stuff here. So this is the ignition harness from Rotary. Looking at the harness side, pin A, which is the one on the far left, is going to be the ECU ignition output. So we have red, brown, blue, yellow between these 4. We have 1 trailing and 1 leading for each rotor housing. And you can pull that information straight from Haltech site. Any smart ignition coil like this is gonna follow the same. You've got pin A, which is ECU ignition output, B is reference, C is reference, D is reference. So pin B, C, and D are all grounds. Pin E is power. Here is the pinout document from Rotary. So I'm just gonna go through. We've got brown, blue, red, yellow. We also have a Haltech Elite 2500 printout because on our ignitions here, we are using ignition 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, what those 1, 2, 3, and 4s are pinned to in the ECU is gonna dictate where they go for which coil. So we've got leading 1 is brown, leading 2 is blue, trailing 1 is red, trailing 2 is yellow. So let me go through all of these with a multimeter, see what one is actually hooked up where, get it corrected, we can get them plugged back in, and hopefully at that point be able to set ignition timing properly on this poor car. Good news, we have found the wiring issue. So, I'll give you a basic rundown of this. In Haltech software, you cannot change ignition outputs. They are pre-assigned from Haltech for where they go. So, rotor 1 leading is pin A3, rotor 2 leading is A4, rotor 1 trailing is A5, rotor 2 trailing is A6. Now, on the documentation from RyWire, they have this a bit wrong. So, leading 1 is supposed to be brown, which it is. I verified that. Leading 1 is brown. I depinned everything from the ECU side and moved all these pins around. Brown is now going to A3, which is the leading 1 coil pack harness, which is now the leading 1 rotor, so that is correct. Leading 2 is blue, which goes to A4. So rotor 2, leading A4. The wire colors on here to here don't matter. But for this, ignition 2 leading, they have as red, which is incorrect, and it was incorrect in the harness as well. So there were a couple other mistakes between the leadings and the trailings, so I got all of that fixed. It's all proper now. I just need to plug all that back in, get the wheel back on, get everything plugged back into the ECU, put this thing on the ground, and see if it actually runs proper. We can check our ignition timing and make sure that the ignition timing is spot on as well. So I actually want to verify one more thing before I put this harness back, and that is the grounds for the coil pack. So ground 2 cylinder head is the one that we're looking for, which is pin ground 2 cylinder head, pin C, so it should be the 3rd pin over from the harness side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which should be that guy. So this is trailing 1. So that should be grounded to the ground that goes on trailing 1 or the rotor housing, which is the front rotor housing. So I just want to check the grounds on this to make sure that the grounds are going in the right spot as well. I don't think it really matters too much, but I just don't trust it, man. I got trust issues. I try to be as open and transparent. I tried contacting them like a year ago for another wiring issue that I had, and they kind of just blew me off. DM'd them on Instagram. They told me to email the company, emailed the company, and I never heard back from them again after that. So we should be running happy as a clam now. I've got the timing light hooked up. I can see my timing mark down there for where I gotta be. We're gonna start the car. I'm gonna lock ignition timing, and we're just gonna check the ignition timing to make sure that it is fixed now. If it's fixed, it means it was the harness. We're fixed. Sent to the tuner. Woo! Now that we have the ignition timing fixed, I'm gonna go ahead, unlock ignition timing, and bring idle down a little bit. I think the tuner said right around 1200 is what we're aiming for, so I'll just kind of see how close I can actually get to that. Less than 2,000 RPM, which maybe that's just where it idles. Like anything in this world, the good news comes with bad news, right? So we actually were able to get idle to come down to about 1300 RPM mechanically. That is disconnecting the idle air control valve and setting it with only the throttle body. Now there is a caveat with that. The throttle position sensor is dead. So we ordered a third-party one. It's JDL's throttle position sensor. It uses a Ford TPS because the OEM FD ones are not only $550, they are also discontinued. So now I'm stuck waiting for this Ford TPS, which the website said a week or two for shipping. Fingers crossed it ships sooner, but in the meantime, there's some smaller stuff that I can get done now to prepare us to continue this painful journey of cleaning up of the last of the little stuff on the FD, because that's really, we're on like the 99% home stretch right now. So I did, on the bright side, get in the ignition harness fuse box bracket, because Rywire doesn't give you this when you order that harness. So I had to buy an entire different fuse box that I can keep in my wiring drawer for future use. Regardless of the point, I have the bracket now. I can mount that fuse box. We can get the ECU mounted back up and touch up some other little stuff that we just kind of floating around the FD to get done. There it is. Bam! Now our fuse box is mounted up. Pretty much all I can do on the RX-7 until this TPS sensor shows up and we can continue tuning. Outside of that, I'm done with it. I gotta mount the ECU back up, but I'll do that later. I do want to drive it around out here real quick just to see if I can feel a difference in how the car drives with the ignition being proper. So we're gonna go take it for a quick little spin around the complex, see if it drives any better, see if it idles better. Well, it has no TPS right now, so it might not idle better, but that's all right. We don't need that. There we go. Yeah, Levi's back for like 2 weeks.
The 7th to the 11th, somewhere around there.
That's like 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks at max. So he's actually gonna man the actual camera. Do you know how to use this? I'm gonna make sure the ignition timing isn't still locked. It's probably a good idea, right? Connect to the Haltech. There we go. Read, discard, page up. All the boost. Okay, we need to go to ignition tuning. Lock mode disabled. Cool. All right, that's all I wanted to make sure. I tightened the brake bias.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, now I have brakes. We'll let it warm up for a minute. Coolant temp's coming up. It's starting to lean out a little bit, which is good. Still within an acceptable range. Smoother. Oh, dude, that's so much better. so much better.
It sounds
Dude, it feels so much better.
It sounds good.
Ah! It feels so much smoother.
Damn, look at that stance. Woohoo! There we go. Look at that. Oh, nice, baby.
Stop after that. We ain't fully tuned yet, but I'm trying to party in this thing, and I can't party yet. No partying. I can see it lean out a little bit under load, so we don't want that. Drive it, dude. I just want to drive it. It wants to lean out under like load. It's not tuned for it yet, so you know that's going up. So there we go. That's all I got for you guys on this one. Like I said, that is literally all we can do with the FD right now until that new throttle position sensor comes in. The car doesn't run perfect yet because we're still on like a very, very basic bass tune, but that's all right. Once the TPS comes in, we can get back to tuning and get this thing actually driving on the street, because I just want to be able to drive this car. That's literally all I want out of it at this point. And it's like all of these little sensors over time have just been breaking. I mean, it's no fault of anything. It's a 31-year-old car with 31-year-old sensors that I'm trying to reuse. So I think I'm also gonna buy a new IACV, idle air control valve, and we can replace that with the TPS, so that way we can just cross all of our T's, dot all of our I's, and mark all of our Q's. So with that, that's all I got for you guys on this one. I'm just glad that we fixed the ignition harness. The car overall sounds better, runs better, smells better. And that's really what matters at the end of the day. Like I said, if you buy those aftermarket harnesses, make sure that you are checking them so that way you don't end up with a blown engine. God forbid there's no engine damage on this car from the little bit of running that the car did have with the harness like that, so fingers crossed. But with that, that's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, and whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not subscribed and you want to be, I'll put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet. But with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.